People have the right to say what they want. Megan Thee Stallion's song was only speech. Let's start there. So, if something was illegal or if there was some claim that the family of the child relating to Megan's law had, then it had to only be based on Megan's speech. So that's why we're going to start with whether or not her speech in itself was illegal. Okay, so I'm assuming by now everybody has the tea about the new song HISS by Megan Thee Stallion. The lyrics specifically reference a law that has been around for decades. It is Megan's law, okay? First, the lyrics. I'm gonna look down at my iPad with all my notes so that I can stay on track, okay? Her new song states, "These hoes don't be mad at Megan, these hoes be mad at Megan's law." Okay, so we all know that if Megan's law is referencing S offenders, she was probably taking shots at Nicki Minaj. All right, I think we all agree that that was the case. Nicki came out with her response about Bigfoot, which was hilarious, I must say. I take no sides, but let's discuss what Megan's law really is. There was a young girl, 7 years old, Megan Kanka. She was from Hamilton, New Jersey, and she was arred and unalived by her neighbor in 1994. Her parents fought to have a law passed that would inform communities of S offenders living among them. So basically, when you move into a neighborhood, that those people around you that have been convicted of S offenses, that you would be notified that they do live around you. Megan's law was passed within months of her being unalived and was later adopted by many other states. It became basically a federal law under President Clinton. That's what law Megan Thee Stallion's song was referencing in HISS. As far as illegal speech, okay, we have the Constitution. The Bill of Rights specifically, the First Amendment states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise of or abridging the freedom of speech. So that makes it pretty clear that people have the right to say what they want. Megan Thee Stallion's song was only speech. Let's start there. So, if something was illegal or if there was some claim that the family of the child relating to Megan's law had, then it had to only be based on Megan's speech. So that's why we're going to start with whether or not her speech in itself was illegal. As I said, speech is protected by the First Amendment of our Constitution, specifically the Bill of Rights, stating that Congress will make no law that makes it illegal to speak your mind, okay? However, there are exceptions. Of course, always exceptions, right? Specifically, there are exceptions to protected speech, and those main categories are incitement, defamation, fraud, obscenity, child, fighting words, and threats. So, out of all of those categories, which of any could Megan's referencing of this law fall within? Well, it's not defamation because she did not make any claims that were false about anybody. It's not fraud because she didn't speak any information that was false to try to induce somebody to do something that they didn't want to, right? Obscenity. That might be one we should consider, because something being obscene is it being of some sort of concern to the public, to the state government, that the state government would find to be harmful to the public, right? Child pornography, we all know why that's a problem. Fighting words, which just means, people are deciding to say things that will lead to fights. Or threats, which we all know what a threat is, when somebody says they're going to do something that would harm another, right? So these are the categories that were determined to be non-protected categories of speech, those that were exceptions to everybody's protection of freedom of speech. That was held in Brandenburg v. Ohio in 1969. So, if out of all of those categories, obscenity is one that we should consider whether or not the lyrics of Megan Thee Stallion's song falls within, let's determine what actually obscenity is. In order for material to be obscene, thus unprotected by the First Amendment, it must, on the whole, appeal to the prurient interest in sex. That's the key word, right? It has something to do with the immoral aversion and interest. So that's only judged by community standards, and that it depicts or describes sexual conduct, okay? Specifically that defined by the state in a patently offensive way, and lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. And that was determined in the court case Miller v. California in 1973. Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. If Megan's lyrics did depict any sexual conduct that was offensive at all, and I'm of the opinion that it did not, it would have to also lack any literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. And we know that Megan Thee Stallion is an artist. This is what artists do. She is merely making a statement in an artistic way, right? I mean, specifically, it was a diss track to Nicki. I think it was a pretty good artful way of putting that diss, because it was pointing at the fact that her husband was convicted of an S offense, right? And whether or not we agree with the way she actually pointed that out, that's the only thing she was getting at. She was not, uplifting S offenses in any way. She was only pointing it out in relation to an artistic way of, shading Nicki Minaj, right? So I think it's really hard to say that her lyrics were obscene in any way. And again, that's only if you feel that she described some type of S conduct in the first place, because I don't think that most people would agree that her merely stating the name of a law was describing S conduct, right? I think at the least her mentioning that at all was just distasteful. And that's actually what the family mentioned when they came out to a couple of reporters and explained why they were interested in, considering a lawsuit against her. They just really felt like her comment was distasteful. And, let's just be honest, if your child, somebody in your family that you loved was unalived by somebody else at such a young age, and somebody randomly, blatantly mentioned their name in a song, not to uplift that child in any way, but yet to tear down another woman, how would that make you feel? So I think we can all understand why the family is hurt because of, you know, how their child's name was used in such a vain way. I think after my analysis, I have to come to the determination that the Kanka family literally has no viable lawsuit. This case would not hold up in court. And I mean, it's sad, it is, but there's really nothing there. And I feel like, if anything, you know, maybe just Megan Thee Stallion should apologize, you know, just let them know that she never meant them any harm. She didn't mean it in that way. And maybe go on some type of, I don't know, like campaign about why S offenses are so harmful to our community, right? I feel like that would make up for, you know, such, you know, bad feelings that the family have against her, and the vain way that Megan Kanga's name was used, right? So that's my analysis. If you have any questions, comment down below. You know, tell me what you think. Like, did you think that Megan might actually have a viable lawsuit against her? I'm interested to know though, what did y'all think? Come to find out, Megan is gonna be fine. She is not actually going to be able to be sued for just using the name of a law in a song. And I think we should all feel better to know that just mentioning a child's name that happened to be Ard and unalive wouldn't put us in any legal danger, right? Because nobody wants to feel like they can't, you know, be free to speak their mind or their opinion or make artistic songs or speeches about something that, you know, is important to them. And in this situation, it was Shade and Nicki Minaj, right? All right, I'll talk to y'all later.